finished almost 30 slides. So now we go to 30, 30 loss of power. So, hello, this is Queen's Gambit, and we're going to continue the 48 Laws of Power explanation commentary as a female reader. So, law number 30, first is make your accomplishment seems effortless. Yeah, this is what the businessman do. They're actually not doing hard work, but actually they have a people who work for them, and then the result is literally giving them more and more money and abundance. So a lot of hard work people, they said, I work hard so much, but in the end they usually look like they are draining themselves all over their job. They are proving to everyone this is hard work, is this is what it looks like. But actually businessmen and those powerful people in patriarchy are doing like effortless image because they want to appear more superior. And some of the soldiers also did that. They look like they didn't get to war, they just look like they are a hero and a superior than ever. So every people that is into business, they did that at the same exactly actually actions. So said here in 30 laws of power, make your accomplishment seem effortless. Your action must seem natural and executed with ease. All the toil and practice that go into them, and all the clever tricks must be concealed. Yeah, that is actually what happens when you make a things with yourself. So law 31, control the options, get others to play with the cards you deal. So the best deception are the ones that seem to give other people is a choice. Your victims feel they are controlled but are actually your puppets. Give people options that come out in your favor wherever one they choose. Force them to make choices between the lesser of two evils, both of which serve your purpose. Both them on the horns of dilemma. They are gored wherever they turn. So this is exactly what happens when a king and queens want to make an option for their people, and some of them, follow it with two choices and end up miserably. And said here, once upon a time there's a were king on Armenia who were being curious of a turn mind and need some new diversion, sent his heralds throughout the land to make the following proclamation. Hear this, whatever man among you can prove himself the most outrageous liar on Armenia shall receive an apple made of pure gold from the hands of his majesty king. So people began to swarm to the palace from every torn and hamlet in the country, people of all rank, condition, princes, merchant, farmers, priests, rich and poor, tall and short, fat and thin. There was no lack of liars in the land, and each of one told his tale. The king, a ruler, however, has heard practically every sort of a lie, and none of those now told him convinced that the king he has listened to the best of him. The king was beginning to grow tired of his new sports and thinking of calling the contest off without declaring a winner when there's a peer before a poor ragman carrying a large earthenware pitcher under his arm. What can I do for you? Asked his majesty. Sire, and said the poor man, slightly bewildered, surely you remember you owe me a pot of gold and I collect it. You are a perfect liar, exclaimed the king. I owe you no money. A perfect liar, am I? Said the poor man. Then give me the golden apple. Realizing the man was trying to trick him, started to the hedge. No, no, no. "You are not a liar. Then give me the pot of gold you owe me, sire." And said the man. The king saw the dilemma. He handed over the golden apple. Okay. I think that poor guy is literally hungry. That's why he asked the king to give the apple. But it ends up like he handed over the golden apple. So that is a American folk tales and fables. Yeah, Robert Greene used fables here. So let's see from the Law 32. Play to people's fantasy. Yeah, most likely in showbiz, Hollywood stars, this is what they have done. The truth is often avoided because it is ugly and unpleasant. Never appeal to truth and reality unless you are prepared for the anger that comes from dissentment. Life is so harsh and distressing. The people who can manufacture romance or conjure up fantasy are oases in the desert. Everyone flocks to them. There is great power in tapping into the fantasy of the masses. So even television, teleradio are often give fantasy claw. Even the television lies and all part in the media, right? They tell you, oh, this is aesthetic, this is so wonderful, but they just playing along people's demand so that their business will continue to grow and even the economy will still circulating to that country. So especially Hollywood, right? Hollywood cinematic films, they give fantasy to people because they want them to entertain. So also their agreements. Law 33, discover each man times crew. Everyone has a weakness, a gap in the castle wall. That weakness is usually an insecurity, an uncontrollable emotion or need. It can be also small secret pleasure. Either way, once found, it is the temp screw you can turn to your advantage. You know, this is actually happening, okay? In kind of workplace. If you just remember this, this is like a coworker who are actually you wanna discover, you know, something, a weakness, right? From that person to just control their decisions from their way there. So like what does the book said here, pay attention to the gesture. Find the helpless child. Most weakness begin to childhood before the self builds up. The child was pampered or indulged in particular area and need to be buried and but never disappear. Knowing about the childhood give you power to that person weaknesses. One of these weaknesses, when you touch on the person, will often act like a child. Be on the lookout then for an every action. If your victim's arrival went without something important, such as parental support, when they are children, supply it or its facsimile. If they reveal a secret, says a hidden indulgence, indulge it. Either case, they will be unable to resist you. Look for contrast. Find the weak, okay? Fill the void and uncontrollable emotion. So said here, then what did the lion and the chamius and the fox? Okay, there's a fables here, like it's storytelling like a fable, and I think it's more about like looking for the weaknesses of your enemy, and it happens, you know, they wanna trigger, wanna know about your family, history of yours, and they will use it against you. Law number 34 is be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. The way you carry yourself will often determine how you are treated in the long run. Appearing vulgar or common will make you very disrespect. For the king respect himself and by acting regally and confident of power. make yourself seem destined to wear a crown. Yeah, this is what it goes when a man, okay, as example, a guy who wanna be look like a gangsta, so he will wear some very fancy style of clothing, baggy clothes, and rappers do this to just look like, a gangsta, and every people believe they are rich. Okay? That's what happens there. Especially if there are rich people, they will do it just to show they are very powerful. And law number 35, master the art of timing. So said here, never sin to be in a hurry. Hurrying betrays lack of control to yourself. Always seems patient, as if you know that everything will come eventually. Become a detective of right moment. Snip of the sniff spirit of all times. The trends that will carry you to power. Learn to stand back when time is not yet ripe, and to strike fiercely when it reaches fruition. I think this is what happens when, like, you don't get too hurry. You take time to think and evaluate what is right, what is going to be on a days for you. Because sometimes if we get too hurry and being impulsive, we become ignorant person if we do. So the only thing to manage our plans is taking time. Don't rush your future. Don't rush whatever comes in. Because said here, the Hulk, patiently and silently encircled the sky high above, all seeing its powerful eyes. These below have no awareness that they are being tracked. Suddenly, when the moment arrives, the hawk swooped down with a speed that cannot be defended against. Before its prey knows that what has happened, the bird's vice-like talons have carried it up into the sky. Yeah, that's what the birds did, right? There is a tide affairs of a man which take at a flood leads to the fortune. All over voyage of their life is bound in the shallows within mysteries. Yeah, this is what happens, if you do not make rushing decisions, especially in your future, because it lacks you more in readiness if you very rushing things all over. Law number 36, despine things you cannot have, ignoring them is the best revenge. Be acknowledging by a petty problem you give an existence and credibility. The more attention you pay on an enemy, the stronger you make him, and a small mistake is often make worse and worse visible when you try to fix it. It is sometimes best to leave things alone. If there is something you want but cannot have, show contempt. The less interest you reveal, the more superior you seem. Oh my god, this is real. Like, if you're a girl, you are paying attention to the playboys, and the more you say to them, this is bad, this is like this, and you know what they do? They feel superior because you give them attention. You give more power to their giving them attention. So what you do as a woman is that ignore them. Ignore all of this kind of malicious in incidents, because if you ignore that, they will lose control as a man. Okay, and if you're a woman, you want power, ignore this podcast, ignore those guys who are feeling themselves on the internet saying, women are like this, like that. Ignore them now, because the more you ignore them, the more power you will have. Okay, so this is crazy. Robert Greene did realize us that he make us realize where power is not actually a war. Power is not actually like killing people. So power is something that holding a gun. Sometimes power is like silence, that is literally killing it, very tightly. So Robert Greene and his, books are literally help for us to realize what the power is, what is actually an attraction, right? So, yeah, don't give attention to the people who hate you. Don't give attention to the people who will not be proud of you. Because in the end of the day, once you give them attention, they feel like you give them a time and effort. So they will feel like very powered. So if you got a bullies, ignore them and say, "Are you having a problem? Are you okay?" Because they will be like, and ending up like miserably by you just ignoring them. Okay, 37th law. Okay, create compelling spectaculars. Okay, striking imagery and grand symbolic gesture create the aura of power. Everyone respond to them. Stage spectaculars for those around you, then full of an arresting visual and radiant symbols that heighten your presence, dazzle the appearances. No one will notice you what you're really doing. Hmm. Okay, there's a girl here, okay? Antony, and of course, one and only, the Queen Bee, Cleopatra. Okay, she relied above all upon her physical presence and the spell and enchantment which create. She came sailing up the riverside Neuse in a barge with a gold with purple sails billowing in the wind, whilst her rowers crest the water and the oars of silver with divide the music of the flute accompanied by pipes and lutes. Cleopatra herself reclined beneath a canopy of cloth of gold, dressed in the character of Aphrodite. Okay, as we heard in the faintings while on either side to complete picture stood boys costume as cupids who call her with their pants. And instead of a crew, the barge was lined with the most beautiful of her whining woman attire as Nereids and grazes some of the rudders, others at all the tackle of the sails, and while insecrably rich perfume. Yeah, this is what they do, right? So because of beauty of Cleopatra, because society conditioned women that beauty is power, then they use it as their granted power, just like what the Cleopatra says. Beauty is currency, beauty is power, women have power. So as a woman, I think what it tells here is that beauty can actually be a power too, because you can not actually get it as a currency but also a power, so you can seduce this man. That's what the woman in Bible did, just like Delilah, right? She are captivated by Samson's strength, while Samson get deceived by her dress and looks. So that's the power of beauty, right? And it happens in history for a long ago, and we as a modern women, we actually seen that in model industry, modelings. Women have power and power, right? So yeah, law number 38, think as you like but behave like others. Ooh, think as you like but behave like them. If you make a show of going against the time, flaunting to your unconventional ideas in orthodox ways, and people will think that you only want attention and that you look down upon them. They will find a way to punish you for making them feel inferior. It is far safer to blend in and nurture the common touch. Share your originality only with tolerant friends, with those who are sure to appreciate your uniqueness. Mm. Okay. Yeah, this is happening in internet. If you just know what is trending, you will follow it, right? But said here, think as you like, but behave like others. Yeah, this is what happened in trendings when it comes to social culture that we have before and now. I think we just follow it because things are giving us compliments when people said your clothes are beautiful, your hands, your nails, that is actually happening right now. So Even this powerful people here, even Sparta, sent expedition to Persia led by a young Spartan nobleman. The city-state of Greece had recently fought off a mighty invasion from Persia. Persians began to zone their behavior. They went beyond the normal flamboyant. He appeared in public wearing parmadice in his hair and flowing Persian robes, and accompanied by a bodyguard of Egyptians. He held lavish banquet in which he sat in the Persian manner, demanded to be entertained. Okay, this is what happens, when you dress like them. People think that you are part of them and their belongings. But if you think like you're unique and if you think you are alone with your own image, it gives you power. Okay, said here, image the black sheep. Okay, the herd shunned the black sheep, uncertain whether or its not belong with them, so it straggled behind or wanders away from the herd, where it is cornered by wolves, promptly devoured. Stay with the herd. There is safety with numbers. Keep your differences in your thoughts and not your fleece. Yeah, it's okay to dress like them, but if your mind dress like them, it destroy your power. So reversal, the only time it's standing out is when you already standing out. When you have achieved unshakable position of power. So this is what happens. Law 39, stir up watcher to catch fish. Anger and emotion are strategically counterproductive. You must always stay calm and objective, but if you can make your enemies angry while staying calm yourself, you gain a decided advantage. Put your enemies off balance, finds the drink in their vanity through which you can rattle them and hold its strings. Okay, I'm hearing that stir up waters to catch fish. Yeah, well, it happens, especially if you're very calm. And when you stir up the waters, the fish are all over there because there's no still amount of water. So this is what happens when your emotions are being controlled by you and not by people. You will have more self-control and peace life that you are deserving. And I think this is a good idea when you're actually wanting more opportunity for yourself and more gratitudeness. You have to be relaxed. You don't have to just stir up a tsunami just to prove them this is you. You have to relax, okay? So let's take a image. Okay, the pond of fish. The waters are clear, calm, and the fish are well below in the surface. Stir the waters and they emerge. Stir some water and they get angry. Rising to the surface, biting whatever comes near, including a freshly baited hook. Okay, yeah, it happens. When a fish, okay, get a bait, it will be hooked. Okay, so if your opponent is a hot tempered, try to irritate him. If he is arrogant, try to encourage his egotism. One who's skilled at making the enemy move does do by creating a situation according to which enemy will act. He emphasizes the enemy with something he is certain to take. He keeps the enemy on the move by holding out bait and then attack him with picked troops. Yeah, it happens. So when playing emotions of you, have be too careful, study enemy beforehand. Some fish are best left at the bottom of the fan. The leaders of the city, okay, yeah, Alexander the Great, who had conquered the Orient but not attacked their city. Yeah, it happens in history here. Alexander the Great. Okay, law 40, despise the free lunch. What is offered free is dangerous. It usually involves either trick or hidden obligation. What has worth and worth paying for. By paying your own way, you stay clear to gratitude, guilt, and deceit. It is also then wise to pay full price. There is nothing to cutting corners with excellence. Be lavish with your money and keep it in circulating for generosity and sign and magnet for power. Okay, money and power. Okay, who doesn't want money and power? Everyone want power. And what does it said here is the image. Okay, we'll get into image. We're going to go into the image. The river. To protect yourself, to save the resources, you dam it up. Soon, however, the waters become dank and pestilent. Only the foulest form of life can live in such stagnant waters. Nothing travels on them. All commerce stop just toward the dam. When water flows and circulates, it generates abundance, wealth, and power. Rivers must flood periodically and good things to flourish. The great man who is miser is a great fool, and a man in a high place can have no vice or so harmful as a virus. A miserly man can conquer a lance. Okay, that is happening, when it comes to lands. Some of your family are getting conflict because of going and stealing lands of their parts. And it happens, especially in economy and the businessmen in the world. So law 41, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Okay, let's see. What happens first actually appears better and more original than it comes after. If you succeed a great man or have famous parent, you will have accomplished double their achievement and outshine them. Do not get lost in their shadow. Stuck in the past, not of your own making, establish your own name and identify. Changing course, slay the overbearing father, disparage his legacy, and gain power by shining on your own way. Okay, this is happening in a family. If the family have a child that is must be followed to their particular tradition. For example, the father is a doctor, it must be the child is a doctor, right? But instead here, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Yeah, because if your purpose is to be what you want, follow what you want and not these people, even this family wants you to be a doctor or nurse, even they want you to be what they have into you. You should follow your own establishing name and identity. Yeah, because you have a choice now to have your identity, right? So create your own and don't be a puppet of this family clan, okay? Yeah, even Alexander the Great has been experienced being mad by his father when he doesn't follow him. Yeah, it happens to the family, common in a family, right? So let's see. In image, let's see on image, the father. Okay. The father, he cast a giant shadow over his children, keeping them in thrall long after he is gone by trying them to the past, squashing their youthful spirit and forcing them down the same tired path he followed himself. His tricks are many. At every crossroad you must slay the father and step out to the shadow. Okay, get out to the shadow. You're not them. You have your own identity. Remember that. Okay, law 42, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Oh my goodness. Trouble can often be traced to a single strong individual, the styrer, the arrogant underling, the poisoner of goodwill. If you allow such people room to operate, others will succumb to their influence. Do not wait for troubles they cause to multiply. Do not try to negotiate with them. They are indiremable. You neutralize their influence by isolating or vanishing. Strike at the source of the trouble and sheep will scatter. Ooh, okay. Yeah, it happens, If you see these shepherds, in the lands, they will scatter if you, just stood your wood in the land. Strike the shepherd, okay. It happens to the family too. When you are inviting some of your relative and then, they have the problem and it can cause, and by helping by your family, it happens and the ship will scatter. Okay, that is why, it's like a virus. Let's see for the next. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Yeah, law 43. Coercion creates an erect reaction, eventually work against you. You must seduce others into wanting to move in your direction. A person you have seduced becomes your loyal pawn. And a wary to seduce others operate in their individual psychologies and weaknesses. Soften up in resistance by working on their emotion, playing on what they hold dear and what they fear. Okay, this is what happened when mind versus heart matter. So what did you choose, your mind or your over heart? So in the game of power, you're surrounded by people who are absolutely no reason to help you unless it is interested to do. If you do nothing offer their self-interest, you are likely to make them hostile. Okay. Image, the keyhole. People build walls to keep out you. Never force your way in. You will find only more walls within walls. There are doors in their walls. Those doors, the heart and mind, and the tiny holes. Peer through keyboard and find the key that opens, and you have access to there and with ugly signs of forced entry. Okay, if you're a woman, there's a tendency the guy will actually use your mind or your over heart, or either your heart over your mind, so that he can control your heart, he can control your emotions. So be careful, because he can say a lot of things to you, either it's not a compliment and then will use it against you. 44 law, disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. The mirror effect reality, but it is also perfect tool for deception. When you mirror your enemies doing exactly as they do, they cannot figure out your strategy. The mirror effect mocks and humiliates them, making them overact by holding up the mirror to their psyches. Oh my god, this is like, you know, copying everything that they did, but actually you wanna prove to them that they are what they are. Hmm. They are decepting you. Yeah. This is big. This is being careful for these guys. Let's start with next law. 45. Preach the need for change but never reform too much at once. Okay. So said everyone understand the need of change in the abstract, and but on a day level are creatures of habit. Too much innovation is traumatic. Okay. Make a show of respecting the old way of doing things. Okay. Okay, this is what, like, what in happening of religion. They are changing it every time, but not at once, not so much. For example, some of them are converted, either the religion is different from now. Like example, the image. Okay, the cat, creature of habit, it loves warm and familiarized. Upset its routine, disrupt its space, it will grow unmanageably and psychotic. Plays about supporting, changes necessary, deceive the cat by keeping the smell of the past alive. Place object familiar to its strategic location. Okay, yeah, the cat do that, right? If you see the behavior of the cat, they are very familiarized on smells, what is their boss, and they know it. And cats think they're a boss. Okay, law 46, never appear too perfect. Okay, everyone is not perfect. If you're a woman, do not find the guy who's very perfect. And it happens, because no man is perfect. Even in what we watch on Disney movies, Disney cartoons, they said there's a perfect Prince Charming, but in reality, there is no perfect guy, okay? So stop having a standard like imperfecting the perfectly, because there's no perfect man in real life. And to just destroy this, you know, delulu or delusions. Appearing better than other is always dangerous, but most dangerous of all is appear to have no faults and weaknesses. Envy creates silence enemy. It is smart to occasionally display defects and admit to harmless vices in order to deflect envy and appear more human and approachable. Only gods and the dead can seem perfect with impunity. Okay, that is literally true. Because no man is perfect. So stop having the standard where there's a perfect partner, there's a perfect family, there's a perfect, all things all over. There's no perfect at all. Okay, image, the garden of weeds. You may not feed them, but they spread as you water the garden. You may not see how, but they take over tall and ugly, preventing anything beautiful from flourishing. Before it's too late, do not water indiscriminately. Destroy the weeds of envy by giving them nothing to feed on. Law 47, do not go past the mark you aim for in victory. Learn when to stop. The moment of victory is often the moment is the greatest in peril, and in the heat of victory, arrogance and overconfidence can push you past the goal you have aimed for, and by giving too far, you make more enemies than you defeat. Do not allow success to go to your head. There is no substitute, and planning set a goal and while you reach and stop. Okay. I think if you achieve more things, let the people assume that you already have done. Okay? Do not go past the mark you aim for in victory. Learn when to stop. Yeah, it has to be a lesson. You have to accept that. Okay. Said Machiavelli, either destroy a man or leave him alone entirely. Inflicting half punishment or mild injury will only create an enemy whose bitterness will grow you with time, and who will take revenge. When you beat an enemy, then make your victory complete. Crush him into nonsense. In the moment of victory, you do not restrain yourself from crushing the enemy you have defeated, but rather needlessly advance against power. Be merciless and with your enemy. Do not create new enemies by overreaching. Yeah, that is good. You know, if you have a family, you don't want to have more in conflict, you should stop saying that you gonna go revenge for them, because it takes a lot of dangerous things to happen. So law 48, assume for formlessness. By taking a shape, by having visible plan, you open yourself to attack. Instead of taking form for the enemy grasp, keep yourself adaptable on the move. Accept the fact that nothing is certain and no law is fixed. The best way to protect yourself is to be fluid, and formless is water. Said Thales, everything is water. Okay, you have to adapt. We do it to survive. Okay. Said here, image, Mercury, the winged messenger, god of commerce, patron saint of thieves, gamblers, and all those who deceive. Then, the day Mercury was born, he invented the lyre. By the evening, he had stolen the cattle of Apollo. He would score the world, assuming whatever from be desired. Like the liquid metal named after him, he embodies the exclusive, ungraspable, the power of formlessness. Yeah. Okay, what I have realized in Robert Brains, and that's the end, I think that helps us to realize power silence. It's not an armor, but a power of silence. That is all as a female reader, and that's how I understand it. Bye.